Well, Francis has one fight left on his contract unless Francis wins.
Yep.
Then he'll have another fight on his contract. That's just like, and this is not saying anything bad about the UFC. I totally understand why they do it. They don't want, and they've had it happen long ago in the past. They don't want their champion walking away with their belt and going to fight for somebody else. Exactly.
Randy Couture.
Yeah, well, and this is, it's when you are the UFC, you're in a position where you can't win. All right. You really can't, because if your champion, wins their last fight and then walks off with the belt and then goes and fights somewhere else and loses, then it diminishes your product, and they don't want that happening. They're okay if you go off with a loss, but they're not okay if you're going to go off with the belt and then lose somewhere else. That doesn't do a good, have a good look for their product. And I can understand it, but there has to be that point where, the UFC has always been good about, if you are fighting, you're their champion and you're fighting well, look, they're going to pay you, and they're going to pay you good money, and you're going to get pay-per-view money, and there's all kinds of things. And even if you end up not fighting on a pay-per-view card, they're going to work it out in your contract for you so you get extra money. They're not trying to chintz the champions. I think that Francis is upset with the way things have, it's a personality thing. It's not so much, I don't think, the money thing completely. I think there's a personality thing. He doesn't like the fact that they did the interim title. There's all kinds of things, but, if he goes somewhere else, the UFC's losing a great fighter, because he's fun. Look there's no one more explosive in the sport than Francis Ngannou. Derek Lewis might be right there with him, but no one else has got their power. I mean, he's just got the ability to put anyone's lights out at any moment. So that's not someone they want to lose.
Yeah, I think the money situation kind of started the whole thing, and started, because he didn't get, he's not, he wanted that championship type money. So I think that right there is kind of where the problem started. I think now that was pushed aside, they're into this next fight, but then the Cyril Gane thing situation with the interim title, all of that stuff happened,
and I don't think
that made it even worse.
You got to think it probably didn't help that Cyril Gane is an ex-teammate and training out of the camp that he used to fight with. All of that stuff added up to not being pleasant in his mind.
Yeah, it just seemed like you being sabotaged right off the bat as soon as you win the title. Now, all of those things aside, I agree with you. Look, you guys, and we've talked about this before, is that there is, on my contract that I have with the UFC, it was 3 fights if I got to the title shot. Even if I didn't win, it was an extension of 3 fights. Okay, so if I fought for the title, extended my contract 3 fights. It sounds like with his, it doesn't have that, but we do know that every time a fighter fights for the title and retains it, it extends for 1 more fight. And that's a big reason why Chris Cyborg didn't want to fight Amanda Nunes for the 1-fight deal, because she knew if she won that, it would extend her 1 fight, 2 fight, whatever it is. Every time you defend and you win, it extends you another fight. Now, I've been told by other matchmakers that they copy a very similar style of contract to the UFC. But the way they were explaining it to me is that you legally, by law, cannot continue to keep extending them forever and ever and ever. So it's up to the UFC's obligation, basically their obligation, to re-sign them during the time they have them extended.
And they do that.
And they generally do, because, honestly, as their champions, they do pay their champions very damn well. Now, back in the day, it wasn't always the case. And that was
how
the
far
thing.
back in the day?
Well, I can go back to the Sean Shirk and Kenny Florian days. When Sean Shirk was fighting, I believe Kenny Florian, when that UFC title first came back, I was making in Strikeforce, and I wasn't the champ at the time. I was making more than both of those guys to fight for the title.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, you know what I mean? So like those days, but that was when they started bringing the weight class back. Now that weight class is murderer's row. And so a lot of those guys in that weight class are getting paid because they all deserve it. And so I think as time's gone on, the UFC has made some adjustments based off of who sells tickets, who puts butts in the seats, who sells pay-per-views, and is very marketable. You know what I mean? And they make the adjustments that they go. Look, 4 years ago, we weren't talking about Charles Oliveira, or 5 years ago, or 4 years ago, whatever. We weren't talking about Charles Oliveira being a contender in the 45-pound division or the 55-pound division. You know, like, sure, he was good, but he wasn't that guy. Now look at him. I mean, they'd be foolish. He's got a, like Dustin was saying, he's got one of those big ass smiles. He's got beautiful teeth.
He looks like a librarian, man. He's got great glasses. It's awesome.
Glasses, good looking kid, you know, and just, you know, he's built well. Like, he carries himself well, very proper. And so I think they finally have stuck behind him. In terms of the Francis Ngannou situation, John, it started off, I think, with the money situation. They probably wanted to renegotiate after he won. Let's get this deal done. Now he's got one more fight left. They didn't want to do that. Now the interim title came about. That rubbed him even more wrong.
Yeah.
So, look, if he wins, you guys, he's going to be extended again. He's not going to be able to test the free market. There's no way he's testing that free agency. There's no way. Okay? He's going to be extended one more fight. And that's why you saw with Chris Cyborg, she's like, no, I'm not signing a one-fight deal, because if I do beat her, then I'm going to be stuck here. And that's true. You're going to be stuck. You're going to be stuck here for one more fight. And if you win again, you'll be stuck here for one more fight. And it's a continuous thing. So I don't know how they get away with it, continuing to do that for long periods of time. Or maybe they've just never had to do that because they've continued to re-sign their champions, because they do pay pretty damn well for their champions now.
Yeah, when you're the champion, it's a nice contract with a good amount of money. Sometimes they're signing bonuses and everything out there. And so look, they're taking care of their champions, and so that's why they're able to re-sign them. But yes, there is you can't just walk with that belt. You do owe them another fight, and then if you fight on that one, you're going to owe them another fight. And it can be where, you know, you can only do it so long, but you're gambling with your career at that time if you're not re-signing with them, trying to get to that point of free agency. And so, you know, what they're going to offer you and what's going to be there for you, it'd be crazy not to take it.
I figure if he beats Gane, I think that they get a deal done.
Oh, no doubt.
They're gonna,
no doubt.
But I don't understand why they don't just do the deal now. That's what I don't get.
See, I don't either. And when I'm saying it, I look at, like, heavyweights they're a different breed, and you know, people are going to say whatever they want. They're rare. Mm-hmm. Good big guys are rare, and this is a guy that, man, I don't know the numbers, and I don't know all the dynamics behind it with the UFC, but, you know, people seem to want to see Francis Ngannou fight. Mm-hmm. And it's because he can knock people out. And so I can't believe that their numbers aren't at least, you know, adequate when Francis is on the card. It just seems to me that, you know, it's almost a personality thing. It'll get worked out. Francis will get the money he deserves. But if he loses this fight with Gane, which is a possibility, mm-hmm. if they let him walk, I think they're crazy.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna let him walk. But there might be a lot of back and forth being done between the manager and Dana, and a lot of what Ngannou's come out and said, you know, publicly, that may have pissed Dana off. And you know, when Dana gets a wild hair up his ass and he gets upset with someone, it's kind of it's all or nothing. You either jump on my bandwagon or you can just sit on the sideline and we're fucking good with it. Yep. You know, so it's that way. But it is what it is. I think that he's going to either way, he's going to figure it out. And either way, no matter where he goes, he's going to make a lot of money. Yeah. That's really what it's going to come down to. A heavyweight like that, there are few and far between that are that explosive, that are that marketable with the backstory that he has, the power he possesses, the ability now that he is actually learning how to wrestle a little bit better. Yep. You know, he's learning how to stuff takedowns and being able to touch people at any moment with the explosive power he has. I think that his marketability is definitely still there.
He's still young in the sport. He's young.
For heavyweights.
He hasn't been doing it. Sure. Yeah, exactly. I mean, crazy.
100% agree.